Good morning, y'all. Good morning. This is episode 2 of the Morning Sip. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for listening. Love the feedback that I got on the first episode of the Morning Sip. So hopefully y'all continue to tap in with me and give me your information. Let me know how you feel about the Morning Sips. This is a new series that I'm doing. So I'm just touching on a couple of topics really quickly. I don't want this to be something that's really long and drawn out. So think of it as your morning cup of coffee. And honestly, you shouldn't be drinking more than one cup of coffee in a day anyway. In the morning anyway. I understand throughout the day you're gonna elevate that, but definitely try to temper down your cups of coffee. But yeah, so this is episode 2, Morning Sip. Got some really good feedback on the first episode, so I appreciate that. So, like I said, I'm gonna keep this going. So I just want to start something different today, man. As y'all can see, I got my little fedora on. Not a little fedora. Like I'm a brim guy. Like I love hats. Like one of the things that people see me at work, like I'm known for my hats. People see me, oh, you got a new hat on today. What you rocking today? Like people are super and extremely interested in the type of hats and things like that I wear. So this is just who I am, part of my personality. So yeah, I mean, this is just who I am. So I had to bring the brim on for y'all today. Also, man, got to show you the fragrance for the day for me, the cologne of the day. So obviously, you see the name right there, Valentino. This is the Coral Fantasy. This is my vibe for the day. So I'm not sponsored by them, but if y'all see this and y'all decided you want to tap in with me, please do. I really like the fragrance. I love the notes, how good it smells. This is really one of the best fragrances that I'm rocking right now. So, fellas, if you're looking for a springtime scent to give you a different type of vibe, this is definitely one that you should definitely look into. Again, this is Valentino Coral Fantasy. So definitely tap in with this. Let me know how you feel about this fragrance as well. This is something else that I'm adding to the table also. So there have been a couple of things that have been happening in the news cycle lately, and I kind of just wanted to talk about it. First thing that I want to start with is nepotism. And if you don't know what nepotism is, I mean, nepotism has been around since the inception of this country. One of the things that we like to conveniently forget is that Christopher Columbus did not discover America. There were people already here when he got here, or when they stumbled upon America, and then they decided to do what they did in regards to genocide and things of that nature, and pretty much getting rid of the people that were already here. So when it comes to nepotism and how that correlates, the country has been running off of nepotism since the beginning of time. You can't say that you found something that was already here and that people were already here. But one of the things that nepotism allows you to do is that you have the possibility to erase what already exists and what is already here and what's already there. So when it comes to graduating college, for an example, one of the first things that you're trying to do is get out into the work world, get into the workforce, find you a job, start trying to, build your bones and make your way in not only this country, but in society as well. And oftentimes there are stumbling blocks in place for people who look like me, where if your name is a certain thing, you might not have the credentials that someone else might have. Someone's father may work at this Fortune 500 company that you're possibly interning at, right? And then you go off and you apply for a job at said Fortune 500 company. But if his children works there, or his children goes to NYU or something like that, for an example, and then what he's going to do is he's going to ensure that his kids are set up, for success. And I think that that's just something that's just common. Like that's something that you can't poo-poo. Like it's just a part of the fabric of this country, right? So if their kids is coming in from NYU and you're coming in from, let's say, HBCU or something like that, obviously I'll talk about HBCUs because that's my lived experience. But you can't expect for you to get that job over his child who went to NYU. He works there. There's pretty much a ecosystem that's set up. That child's gonna go to college. They're gonna graduate from college. They're gonna intern. After they intern, they'll probably 9 times out of 10 they'll end up at a job where their parents or something like that is working at, right? So I think the most glaring example about nepotism is that we are trying to make it seem like it's not something that's a part of this country and a part of society as a whole. So the most glaring that people love to point at and point out now is the fact that LeBron James' son, Bronny James, he has entered the NBA draft, and he has decided to stay in the NBA draft. So he is fully expecting to be drafted somewhere, right? So with the fact of him expecting to be drafted somewhere, you did have people on social media where the conversation has now shifted to, oh, well, why is he staying in the draft? He's not as good as X, Y, and Z and things like that, right? And what you have to look at also is that Bronny James didn't get the full college experience at USC. Obviously, we know right before his freshman season started, he had a heart issue that kept him out for some time, and he had to be cleared by medical professionals and things like that before he was able to step back onto the court. So he did not get the full college experience in regards to, being the student athlete. He wasn't able to play a bunch of meaningful minutes, and the team at USC wasn't all that good as well. So he didn't get a chance to see any postseason time to experience March Madness or anything like that. So you automatically look at the fact that, okay, why is he entering the NBA draft knowing that he did not have the experience or the time played in order to feel confident enough to put his name in the draft? Now, granted, we all know LeBron James is his father, right? So that is going to come along with a certain level of nepotism. LeBron James has been saying for years now how he was influenced by Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. He loved that dynamic. He saw that growing up when both of them were playing on the same team together. And he now wants to emulate that with his son, right? There's nothing wrong with him wanting to be on the team with his son. What people are having a problem with is the nepotism part of it. And I just gave you an example, again, of how the fabric of nepotism works in our society today. So we know in the NBA there are only 450 jobs in the NBA, which means that there are only 450 spots, and those are the 450 best basketball players in the world. A lot of people are looking at Bronny James right now, and they do not feel that he is worth one of those 450 spots. And at this point, to be honest with you, it's not necessarily about what you feel, how you feel, and things like that. None of that is important. What's important is that, and even LeBron has spoken out about this as well, and obviously he'll have this opinion because this is his son, this is his child. It's not your job or anybody else's job to try to poo-poo or crap on a young man's dream, or anybody who's chasing their dream, for a matter of fact. I'm just talking about basketball now because that's the most glaring example that I could provide. But we really have to pay attention and know that nepotism is just a part of society, and it has been since the beginning of time. That is not going to change. And just because Bronny James is the son of LeBron James, will there be a certain level of nepotism involved there? Absolutely. LeBron James, people like to say that LeBron is, you see these names for him on social media like Lil GM or Lil Management or something like that. And who knows what LeBron is doing behind the scenes? LeBron is saying things in public, right? For people to, I don't even think he's saying it for people to latch on per se, but because he's such an iconic figure, like because he's like the biggest figure in sports, people are going to tap in, people are going to listen, people are going to clip the things that LeBron James has to say, and then they're going to carry it onto various shows that we watch every day. First Take, Undisputed, various podcast platforms, anything that LeBron James has to say, well, 9 times out of 10 end up on these platforms. I don't think he's doing that for that. I just think that he's voicing his opinion like he does about anything else that he sees on social media or just anything that he just have any sort of interest in. LeBron James is going to speak about it. People are going to clip it, and then the conversation will go from there. But what I want people to understand is that, yeah, there's a certain level of nepotism involved here. But I guess my thing is, why is it that when it comes to, and maybe it's this is just athletics, for example, right? Why is it that when it comes to someone, I'll just name it. Why is it that when it comes to someone black, we want to frown on nepotism? We want to poo-poo on nepotism. Oh, well, so and so is overseas and he deserves one of these spots. Granted, he just might. He absolutely might deserve that spot. But as with anything, whether that's the job market, and like again, like I told y'all in the first episode, I am currently experiencing some of the stuff that I am talking to you about. The job market now is about who you know. It's not necessarily about your credentials, the things that you have amassed in your career as far as um, experience, the things that you can really hang your hat on. That's not really what the workforce is about anymore. It's about who you know and who can get your foot in the door. So this is one story that I had that I can point to it. And I guess I'll say this is absolutely an example of nepotism. I'll say once I finished my graduate program at the University of Mississippi in 2015. At that point, I was supposed to go to New York right after I graduated for an internship program. I did not do that. Unfortunately, I should have, but that was one of the things that I definitely regret about not doing that I definitely should have done. Um, but yeah, so once I finished up graduate school, I moved back home to Mississippi for about 6 months, maybe. And I saw that there was a job opening. Working in media, like I said in the first episode, there isn't a lot of diversity in newsrooms. So at that time, and even still till this day, it's still a conversation to be had about the lack of um, people, a lack of diversity in newsrooms. So for me personally, I saw that there was a newspaper, and there's a media company in Mobile, Alabama, which was my first journalism job, and I saw that they had recently let go of one of their few black columnists at that time. So what I did was I saw the news director at that time on social media. She was kind of refuting some of the claims that people were making, and I tweeted her. I tweeted her directly, and I said, "Hey, I just finished my graduate program here. I have a master's degree in journalism, multimedia, and things like that. And I feel like I have a lot that I can bring to the table and add to your company. So I would definitely love to talk to you more if I could possibly enter into this space and join the company." She actually tweeted me back and she told me to DM her, which I did, which is crazy because I can literally say that I got my first job off of Twitter. I don't know how many people can relate to a story like this, but my first job was basically I secured it through Twitter, right? So she eventually set me up with the hiring manager, and the hiring manager wanted me and my dad to come down and check it out, see what I thought about the city that I would be living in, the environment, the work environment, what it looked like, the hub that I would be working out of, what the city had to offer, and things of that nature. Now, here's the kicker. Here's how I say that I benefited from nepotism. Ole Miss is a controversial university if you know your history. Um, but the hiring manager graduated from Ole Miss. And he took me and my dad out to dinner that night. Like he took us to a real cool seafood restaurant on the water and everything. And he paid for it. And we just sat down and had a conversation about everything and how it was going and stuff like that. And at the end of the night, here's what he said to me. He said, Tyler, look, he said, you're an Ole Miss guy. I'm an Ole Miss guy, and I hire Ole Miss people. He said, if you want this job, it's yours. Just let me know. We'll get everything set up. We'll get everything squared away. And if you want the job, it's yours. I took the job because at that point, I was trying to figure out my next move. I was working a job back home that I didn't really like. I didn't really care for. It was a call center job. Call center job seemed to be the worst. Pays the bills. Don't get me wrong. But if it's not something that you like doing, if it's not something that you're passionate about, you're not going to enjoy doing it. I don't think anybody does. So, yeah, I benefited from nepotism simply because I went to Ole Miss and he went to Ole Miss. He literally told me verbatim. He said, I hire Ole Miss people. So that is how I got my first job in the journalism industry outside of, everything that I have been doing up to that point. So I benefited from nepotism. And I just think that just goes without saying. I feel like that is, obviously I had the credentials, right? The credentials that I had for myself, they spoke for me at that time. However, all jobs in some shape, form, or fashion, you have to know someone. Someone has to put in a word for you. And it just kind of escalates and it goes from there. And that's just the world that we live in today. So, yeah, you might be mad about Bronny James getting ready to be drafted into the NBA. Where? Who knows? But from what I've been seeing reports that up to 10 teams have invited him in for workouts. He has not taken all 10 of those workouts. However, he is working out with 2 teams, the Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. Now, LeBron hasn't necessarily said that it would be a package deal because he doesn't have any control over where his son is going to get drafted. He does not have that control. Now, but what he does have, and even his agent just came out recently and said LeBron is a free agent. Now, I think LeBron is still under contract with LA for like another year or 2. But he really wants to play with his son. So I'm just genuinely curious and interested to see how this is going to play out. Because again, in an instance like this, nepotism is just a part of what we do every day. Everybody who has a position, whether it be management or upper level, they didn't earn those positions. Yeah, they might have had some credentials along the way, but sometimes it goes without saying, it helps to know people. It helps to know people who can elevate you and put you into different levels or, different stratospheres of your career that you probably never would have seen. I don't really like using this example, but I'm going to use it. Deion Sanders took his family from Jackson State to Boulder, Colorado. Now, he thinks that's such an upgrade because he wanted a Power 5 job. And yeah, we get it. But do you think his kids didn't benefit from nepotism? They benefited from nepotism at Jackson State. And when they got to Colorado, Shedeur stepped in. Shedeur stepped in as a starting quarterback. Now, if Shedeur had went anywhere else where his dad wasn't a coach, would he still been a starting quarterback? I think so, because Shedeur is a talented quarterback. But they would have made him compete if he had went anywhere else. Colorado, he didn't compete for that job. We just have to be honest about that. Shiloh didn't compete for that job as a safety. He just came in. Yeah, Prime is going to say what he wants to say. And, we're going to work with this, so-and-so, so-and-so. And they did that. But come on. They still benefited from nepotism. As they continue to move forward in life, they are going to benefit off of nepotism based on their dad's name. So why is it when Bronny James is about to get drafted into the NBA, why is that such a penalty for him? Why is that such a crime for Bronny James? It's not. You got to really pay attention to what's going on around you to act like you don't know that nepotism is all around us. Let's take it to the hood for an example. You go to a gas station, wherever you live. The person that's in there that owns that gas station, 9 times out of 10, they don't look like you. They do not look like you. Now, also, just pay attention. You'll go to that particular gas station, right? And I'm from Mississippi, so I'll just speak specifically to my experience. You go to a bunch of the gas stations in Mississippi, none of the people in there look like me. 9 times out of 10, they probably don't look like you. But what they do is they come here, they buy up these gas station chains and stuff like that, and they employ their own people. They keep those people and they give them jobs. They come here, they buy the gas stations, and then they are the ones who now own and operate these gas stations, right? So if you know who owns those gas stations, you go to another gas station in the area and continue to branch out and stuff like that, right? Let's just say you start having a conversation with them. You are going to immediately learn that, first of all, they're not from here. Secondly, let's say they're part of whatever family, right? And that's just how it goes. They are employing their own people. They're keeping their dollars in their community, and they are circulating those dollars in their community and possibly sending them back home as well to continue to help their family who do not live in the United States. That's nepotism. We have to stop acting like because his last name is James and he is the son of LeBron James, like this is some new phenomenon or this is something new that's happening. It's not. Nepotism has been around for forever, and it's going to be around forever. We might as well just deal with it and accept it. At the end of the day, LeBron James Jr. will be drafted into the NBA on June 26th or June 27th. Deal with it. Nothing that we can do about it. Embrace it. Embrace another black man, putting another black man, a young black man, in position to be successful. Yeah, LeBron James Jr. does not need basketball. He doesn't need NBA basketball, but this is his specific dream. Who are you and I to tell him that he's not good enough to chase his dream, that he's not good enough for his dream in general? That's not our place. Let's instead celebrate a black man putting the next generation in position. And then depends on how far Bronny James goes, he'll put his kids in position. Their bloodline can be set for however long that they decide they want that to be. But let's not poo-poo it. Let's not hate on it. Don't look good. Stop it. Get some help, like the Jordan meme says. So, yeah, man, I'm not a hater. Don't be no hater, bro. It don't look good. It don't look good at all. Bronny James is going to be drafted, and he's going to benefit from nepotism. That just is what it is. So, let's get over it. All right. I want to slide to the conversation around Caitlin Clark and her rise in the WNBA and all of the conversation and the narratives surrounding Caitlin Clark as well. So we all know, I don't want to belabor this point and I don't want to stay on it long, but we all know Caitlin Clark was the number one pick in this recent WNBA draft. She is, and she has been a lightning rod for the league since she's gotten there. People are excited about her. She's bringing in a core fan base from college basketball to WNBA. And one of the things that we heard Diana Taurasi say on draft night, for an example, when she was drafted, like, you're coming into this league with a group of grown women who have things to prove. We all know that the WNBA is successful, but it's not as successful as the NBA for a multitude of reasons. But we also know that the WNBA only has 12 teams. They are trying to expand, and they are the Golden State Warriors now have a team, and the Golden State Valkyrie, I don't know how you pronounce it, Valkyries or something like that. So that'll make 13 teams. And now they're recently talking about expanding to Toronto. So that might make 14 teams. And I think the Toronto team will be here in 2026. But for right now, there are only 12 teams in the WNBA, which means that I think there's only 144 spots for the WNBA. So when she said that they're coming in to, you're gonna be facing grown women. There is a different level of physicality and things like that that you're going to experience. And Caitlin Clark has learned that early. Like they have been committing some hard fouls against her. And again, as somebody who played a sport, like that doesn't bother me at all. She just got to get up, dust herself out, keep going, get up off the floor, don't complain, and just keep working at it. You're in the professional leagues now, so you need to be able to deal with whatever comes along with that. So I'm not really too concerned about that part, the hard fouls and stuff like that, like the Kennedy Carter stuff that happened last week. That just is what it is. Get up, dust yourself off, and keep it moving. You know, keep trying to make your team better. Keep doing the little things and just keep working at it. I don't care about no hard fouls on Caitlin Clark. She's a pro now. So you got to know that you're the lightning rod, you're the rook, you're the person that they're adorning as the face of the league, even though you're a rookie. So you can't expect for the other grown women in the league who has been working hard trying to elevate themselves and elevate their profiles in order for them to get paid more, in order for them to get the quality treatment that they're looking for and that they deserve rightfully. And you're coming in as a golden goose. Yeah, nobody's gonna like that in professional sports. I think one of the things that Shannon Sharp said that I like personally as a former athlete, if you come in with all this hype and all this this praise train behind you, we're gonna test you at practice. We want to see what you about. We want to see why you getting all them accolades. We want to see about you. So I get that. Caitlin Clark is in the era of being seen about right now by the vets in the league. So I don't care about that. But what I do care about is the narratives that are being spun surrounding her. Like people are using her for to forward political agendas, talking about she's experiencing racism in the WNBA. Like, stop it. That's goofy. These are goofy conversations, and this is goofy behavior that is happening and that is going on and is taking place. These are some really goofy conversations. Her getting knocked to the floor has nothing to do with racism. I even saw a publication the other day say that, I think it was the Chicago Tribune, as a matter of fact. They were saying that foul by Kennedy Carter on Caitlin Clark would have, if they weren't on the basketball court, that would have raised to the level of assault. Bruh, stop it. Stop it. It's disgusting. Like, and again, I'm coming to you guys, I'm speaking to you from an opinion perspective, but I'm also a journalist, as I've told you guys before. So to see a publication say something like that is just really wild to me. I was disgusted too. It's like, are y'all trying to get clicks off Caitlin Clark? Your publication. Do your job. Do your job the way that you're supposed to do your job, and people will visit your website. Don't be saying no stuff like that, including Caitlin Clark, and trying to make her a lightning rod to get y'all some clicks and views. That's crazy for a publication to be doing that. It's sad, first and foremost. It's really sad. It ain't cool. Like, where is the managing editor in the newsroom to be like, let's not do that? That was whack. Real whack. I don't understand that. Don't rock with it. Don't respect it. Like, there's nothing cool about having that type of conversation in the publication and then deciding to post it. That's trash. That's some trash journalism, in my opinion. But as far as the political stuff, I mean, that's even more just left field, like stuff that's not important. Like her getting a hard foul being committed against Caitlin Clark is not assault. It wouldn't rise to the level of assault off of a basketball court. Like the types of conversation that are being had that's not sports related is really weird. And you saw, I posted a reel a couple of months back where I was saying that I feel like more women need to be talking about sports. specifically the WNBA, and not just the WNBA, because just the conversations that I've been seeing men have surrounding Caitlin Clark and the discourse about her in the league and stuff like that, it's been really weird. Like, even as a man in journalism, bro, like, it's been some really weird opinions and perspectives that's been given over the last week or so. And I'm just like, I've been watching the WNBA before Caitlin Clark even got there. So I'm not one of those that I'm gonna, mix myself in. Now, did I watch her in college? Did I think she was amazing to watch in college? Do I think she's a female Steph Curry? Absolutely. That's just my personal opinion. So I'm not gonna cap about that. But outside of that, some of us men need to put these podcast microphones down. Some of us need to get off of TV. You're doing too much. Talking about Caitlin Clark, like, it's really weird. And just as a man, I'm embarrassed by some of the stuff that I've been seeing men say about her. I think Matt Barnes has had a really good take in regards to her teammates stepping up for her and protecting her. He talked about how he protected Kobe, how he protected Dwight Howard and any other superstar that he played with. Like, you weren't going to be just some regular guy. You was going to walk up to Kobe, knock Kobe down, walk up to Dwight Howard, knock him down or something like that. You're going to protect the golden goose. So that's what he was saying, and I pretty much agree with that. Colin Cowherd also gave a really interesting take that I agree with. I agree with most of what he said. He said something along the lines of he didn't start covering golf until Tiger entered golf. Now, for that, I agree. But then he said he didn't start covering the WNBA much until Caitlin Clark got there. That I don't agree with, because personally, I've been watching the WNBA before she even got there. So, huge Maya Moore fan, Cynthia Cooper, Tina Thompson with the big red lips and the red lipstick. Really, really rock with that as a shorty. Don Staley. Like, I've been watching the W, so this isn't anything new to me. But for the new eyes that are on the W, like, y'all gotta come in, y'all gotta sit down, and y'all gotta relax, bro. Just watch the game. You gonna see some hard fouls. You can't frown on women being physical. It's a professional league too. They're not just gonna let her come in and just drop 30 on them. Like, who is gonna do that? If you don't expect for the men to do that, why would you expect for the women to allow her to come in and just drop 30 on them? Yeah, there might be some new eyes and everything. New eyes on, obviously there are some new eyes, because Caitlin Clark herself brought a whole new audience to the WNBA. So I don't frown upon anything that she's getting in regards to endorsements, things like that. I don't frown upon any of that, because she's brought an entirely new audience to women's basketball. But as far as like the hard fouls and stuff on her and some of the commentary, stop it. Especially the politically. So you can't even, racism in basketball, how does that correlate? Outside of the lady on Fox telling LeBron and other prominent athletes to shut up and dribble. That was absolutely racism. But a hard foul being committed against Caitlin Clark, stop it. Stop it. Stephen A. getting on TV the other day, making a fool out of himself, talking about, so what about men? Bro, when women are the center and the focus of the conversation, women need to be centered at all times, bro. That's not a time for you to come back and talk about, what about being a black man? Come on, bro. We're not doing no what about isms here. We are specifically talking about women's, the WNBA, Caitlin Clark, and just women in this particular space in which they are covering the game, watching the game, and participating in the game. So that's a time where women needed to be centered in that conversation. That's not a time for you to come back, Stephen A., and be like, what about a black man? That's not the time, bro. Stop it. Stop it. Please stop it. So that's where we are with that at the moment. So, yeah. And finally, I want to talk about Atlanta. And I'm going to tie in Atlanta with Mississippi also. So here's what I wanted to discuss. I've lived in a multitude of different places. And well, let me just start here first. So if you've been watching national news, you've seen that pipes have been bursting all over Atlanta over the last 5 days. And actually, on today, water has been restored everywhere, and there should no longer be any more water main breaks across the city. I know, being that I work at a news station here, they recently replaced pipes underneath the street, and you can see that the pipes that they pulled out, the city has said that those pipes were over 100 years old. So I just want to, here's the correlation that I made. Again, I've lived a little bit of everywhere. Um, and I feel like growing up in Mississippi, you want to leave Mississippi because you want to see something outside of Mississippi. And I've done that up to this point. But when I see things like this, when I drive the streets of Atlanta or the streets of Mobile, Alabama, which I've lived in also, driven on the streets of Birmingham, driven the streets in Dallas, Texas as well. One of the things that I really like to make the correlation, one of the things that I really want people who talk about Mississippi and talk down on Mississippi, even some of the people who live there, because I was born and raised there. When you look at the infrastructure, first of all, infrastructure is a United States problem, and it's something that needs to be addressed everywhere. But I would like to specifically talk about Mississippi for an example, because Mississippi is a place when you look at statistics, we're pretty much last in everything, or we're at the bottom of the totem pole in everything in regards to any stats you can think of. We have some educational downfalls. We have, obviously cost of living there isn't as high as it is in other places. No real major big buildings, no real big industry in the state of Mississippi outside of Ingalls on the coast, and Northrop Grumman also on the coast in the Pascagoula, Moss Point, Mississippi areas. Those are probably the two biggest industries in the state of Mississippi. But what I like to correlate it to is that people outside of Mississippi like to talk down on Mississippi, but I've lived in some of these big cities where the metropolitan areas are the lifebloods of these communities, and your streets look just like the streets in Mississippi. So why are conversations generally or typically, when it comes to talking about Mississippi, you talk about Mississippi in a negative light? And I mean, granted, Mississippi has a history in which you could see that. But Mississippi to me isn't any different than any of the cities that I've lived in. Some of the downtown areas are the same. The streets are rough, rugged, potholes everywhere. And we like to, back home, we like to laugh about it. We like to talk about it. We love to criticize the city government, talk about how they're not doing nothing and how they're not allocating funds to infrastructure and fixing roads and things of that nature. But I'm in the Black Mecca, for an example, and the roads are equally as bad here. People have been without water since about Friday here in Atlanta. We had a water crisis in Mississippi where, you know, some of these same things are going on, and they went on for longer, like not just 5 days, don't get me wrong, but they went on for longer than that, which is also an infrastructure issue as well. So when we talk about infrastructure and talking down on these places and stuff like that, Mississippi isn't any different than Dallas, Texas, Mobile, Alabama, Fort Worth, Texas, or Atlanta, Georgia. I know we like to get on public platforms and get on national television and talk about what's going on in Mississippi. Now, don't get me wrong; those things are absolutely important. Those things are absolutely need to be given credence to. They need to be given voices to in order to shine a light on the injustices going on everywhere. But Mississippi specifically, I mean, we've seen that over the last couple of years with certain scandals and debacles that's been going on in the state of Mississippi. But I think what I want to get across to even the people who currently live in Mississippi and talk down on Mississippi, and even the people outside of Mississippi who talk down on Mississippi. Mississippi faces some of the same problems that these big metropolitan areas face as well. So there's no difference in that regard. There might be more opportunity in some of these places, but why can't you create your own opportunities as well? And I'm talking to myself here also. I'm not just criticizing the people who live back home, but I'm talking to myself as well. Opportunities can be made anywhere. Success can be found anywhere. It's just about what are you trying to do in order to ensure that success for yourself and for your family. And yeah, there are a ton of amenities out here in Atlanta that we don't have in Mississippi. Definitely. But if you talk to the locals here in Atlanta also, they'll tell you that while those amenities might exist here, there is a certain sense of culture that is missing here as well. And that's extremely important because whenever you talk about Atlanta or you think about Atlanta or you see Atlanta on social media platforms or anything like that, you immediately think of the culture here. Like you think that this is Black Mecca, Black Hollywood, and all that. And living here, you get that. I mean, you go to the gym and you see these people. Like, for an example, like K Camp goes to the gym, the same gym that I work at. Um, the guy from Blue Hill Avenue, the main character that was in Blue Hill Avenue, I could not think of his name. He was also in that movie with Jada Pinkett. And they was in the field making love and stuff like that. I'm forgetting the name of that particular movie. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, he works out in my gym. I've even seen Michael Jai White work out in my gym before. So these people are really common. Like you see these people all over Atlanta. Like you walk out and you see a celebrity anywhere, but they're just really the same people. Like they're just really basic people. Like they don't come at you and give you no celebrity vibe or anything like that. So yeah, that's something that you don't see in Mississippi. But outside of that, as far as like opportunities are concerned, building your own, creating your own, and just trying to stand out and do your own thing, that can be done anywhere. But I think a lot of times we flee to these places and to these cities looking for something that we feel like we can't find in Mississippi. And it also exists in Mississippi as well. So these are just things that I think about, like when I drive over potholes here or when we're dealing with boil water notices and stuff here, like these places aren't that different from Mississippi. And I really want us to understand that. I really want us to grasp that. I really want us to know that none of these places are any better than Mississippi in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, I think that's all that I wanted to touch on for today. This has been episode 2 of the Morning Sip. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for listening. I want you guys, if you could please, please, please like, comment, subscribe. I am currently at 175 subscribers on YouTube, and I would really love and appreciate if you guys would tap in with me, subscribe to all of my platforms, and continue to grow this channel. If you listen to the first morning sip, I told y'all I'm at a place to where I feel extremely confident and where I am right now. I'm dealing with some stuff, in regards to my job and things like that I'm trying to overcome and elevate from. But in the meantime, I wanted to come on my own platform, elevate my own platform, and talk about things outside of being a journalist every day on a day-to-day basis. So that is what this platform is for. I'm going to bring you some culture. I'm going to always bring you some topics and things that are circulating the news wire and things that people are talking about and conversations that are being had, and come to get my own little spin on it also. So if you guys enjoy the content, please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for listening. Again, this has been episode 2 of the Morning Sip. Tap in. Let me know what you think. You can shoot me an email at sipmythoughts@gmail.com. Let me know what you think about the Morning Sip. And we'll go from there, man. I hope to hear from y'all. I hope to, chop it up with y'all and really have some discourse, because that's what I'm doing this for. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for listening. Until next time. Peace.